Hey guys, how are you today? Becca Scoops here. Let me get this music down a little bit. How are you guys doing? I hope you guys are having a great day. I have been ill for the last few days, and so I was shocked to come back. And when I get sick, and I was pretty ill, I don't look at anything. I just go lay in bed. So I don't look at any gypsy stuff, you know what I mean? It's not this is my full-time job right now, and so when I'm ill, yeah, I just go lay down and turn on something else and take my mind off of it. But I'm back, and I was not shocked, but yeah, shocked to see that Gypsy had come back with this new super short pixie haircut. I'm going to briefly touch on that, but this video, mainly after I talk about that for a minute, is going to be a deep dive into Dee Blanchard. I'm going to use some videos from my past videos to kind of go over and commentate on and dissect and get into it a little more deeper to explain who Dee Blanchard was, who she was as a mother, and how her and Gypsy interacted, what happened. And I think you're going to find it fascinating. Now, for those of you that have watched most of my videos, this may be a refresher course, but I'm going to be commentating. So it's going to be a little bit different. I also wanted to do this because there are a lot of new people that I'm getting emails from, and they want like a better explanation, or they're asking me questions. And so I thought, hey, let me do a video on this. I think it is the heart of this case. What is so compelling about this case. And like I said, we're going to do the good, the bad, and the ugly, because I'm looking for truth. I'm looking for truth. And the truth usually doesn't sound like a fairy tale, nor does it sound like a horror, story. It's somewhere in the middle. And so that's what life is like. Even when there's a heinous crime like this, people are good, bad, and ugly, right? And so we're going to get into that. So I hope you guys will stay with me, and let's get to this first part about Gypsy's hair, shall we? Okay, so I put this together. So there she is. Now, I guess she's still not on TikTok. I don't know what really happened to her account. I don't really care. But these are leaked photos. Now, nothing is leaked. Gypsy leaks to certain people. There's like this one TikTok creator, I can't remember her name, who is it Renee? The internet is forever, I think, maybe. Who Gypsy loves to leak to. She has leaked stuff to her and used this woman, because Gypsy does everything by proxy, most everything, and to get the her content creator parodies out there. She used her one friend, and so this is what she's doing these days. And so she leaked these photos. So obviously she wanted us to see these photos. So there you go. There it is. And what's going on with that? Hey, look, I love me a short little haircut. I love a little pixie cut. I'm not saying I don't. I don't know if it's the best choice for her. Obviously, to me, this is giving the vibes of this mugshot. Heavy vibes. And a lot of people that are deep into the Gypsy case have always speculated that, why is she constantly messing with her hair? What's the deal with the hair? Well, I thought about that. There's a disorder where people pull their hair out. I'm not sure if she qualifies for that. It's interesting. It's an interesting take. I'm going to stay away from that for right now, because I don't want to really do a deep dive into her hair. But I thought I'd bring up that most of you guys are aware that a lot of people that have looked at this case, that have some background in psychology, allegedly, because no one can diagnose her unless she's their patient, right? Allegedly have said Gypsy has a lot of traits similar to the cluster B personality disorders. And so that's your antisocial, your histrionic, your narcissistic, your borderline. And to me, this gave a lot of borderline vibes. Now, the question is, can somebody have two personality disorders at the same time? Yes, they can. And a lot of times it actually is quite often that people that are in therapy, and not a lot of them go to therapy that have the cluster B. Some of them do, but typically there's no medicine you can take for cluster B personality disorders. It's not like bipolar where you can get on certain medications that are going to regulate your brain chemistry. The personality disorders are not they don't have anything like that. They're different. A lot of thought is that the cluster B personality disorders come from your childhood, come from your genetic background and your childhood. So, nature versus nurture, and kind of a lot of both for the cluster B. Now, I think Gypsy probably, in my opinion, allegedly, okay, um, is mixed. I think she definitely has, allegedly, the antisocial personality disorder because she plotted the murder of her mom, and that she has a lot of tendencies that you see for that. I also think she's definitely, allegedly, got the narcissistic. And the hair thing, though, was interesting because it reminded me. I had a lot of patients when I was working as a psychiatric nurse who were borderline personality. And so those individuals typically, so let me see. Let me add this. So this is a mixed cluster B personality disorder. It's not a formal diagnosis in the DSM-5. The DSM-5 is the book that all psychiatrists and psychologists use. It's the listing of all the different diagnosis for psychiatric disorders. Okay, it's like the Bible and for psychiatric diagnosis. So this isn't something that it's not an actual disorder listed in the DSM-5, but it says a situation where an individual displays traits of more than one cluster B personality disorder, and then they list them there, is what we talk about, the mixed cluster B personality disorder. And I think definitely when I saw this hair, not just this haircut, but her tendency to constantly be cutting her hair, dyeing her hair, doing things, this hyper focus on her hair. Definitely kind of like a lot of the borderline, okay? Um so here are some of the borderline. And over here, where you see on the right hand side, where you see the identity disturbance, this may involve frequent changes in hairstyle. And I think definitely when we're talking about Gypsy Rose Blanchard, we're seeing that frequent changes in hairstyle, right? So that would come under the borderline. Does that mean she has it? No, I'm not saying that definitively. I can't diagnose her. But yeah, based on my professional background and things that I know, I thought that I would share this with you, that I think she's got symptoms that kind of cross over from the narcissistic to the borderline to the antisocial. And that's not unusual. It's not unusual. So yeah, I wanted to share that with you guys. Um, Here, the narcissistic personality disorder, we've talked a lot about that she has that. Someone who struggles with narcissistic personality disorder usually has a deeply rooted sense of entitlement. And that entitlement means they have unrealistic expectations of how other people should treat them. They become angry or confused when people do not cater to them in this fashion. And then under borderline personality disorder, so that was narcissistic. So under borderline, it says someone with borderline personality disorder will go out of their way to avoid being rejected, even if those feelings of rejection are not real. I see that a lot in Gypsy. The clapping back in the comment section, her outburst on her Lifetime TV series when the producers question her about, what if Ken leaves? Are you scared of Ken leaving? And she actually like burst out into real tears. It's this fear, this abnormal fear of rejection that you see in borderline people. So I thought I would just, touch on that briefly, and that's as briefly as I'm going to get into it. And yeah, the picture definitely is giving off those vibes. I don't know what that means. You know, some people have said, I've seen in comments, or like maybe she said that her hair was fried and she wanted to start over. I don't know. Could you have like maybe? I don't know if that's. Look, I have no. This is something that she does. Now, oh yeah, there's one other thing I wanted to bring up about this. You guys may have seen this. This is I got this from Barb straight out of context. So thanks to her for this clip. This was Gypsy talking about messing with her hair. So let's listen to that real quick.
Off, um, like thick, because I had been in prison, like it was a stress kind of thing that I'd shave them off. Because it's like when I would
She's talking about her eyebrows.
cut my hair with like nail clippers and stuff like that, like I always had a thing of like hair. So when I'd be stressed out, sometimes I'd pluck my eyebrows with a tweezer and then mess them up and then be like, okay, well, screw that. So I would just take a razor and just shave them off. I think after so many times of doing that, now they just grow back wompy. And a lot of times I have to use an eyebrow pencil because they're just not thick.
Oh yeah, mine either.
So that's about it. Then Bree starts talking. It really isn't interesting, but so it's stress. She says when she was in prison, when she would get stressed, she would do stuff to her hair. I don't know if that's what it is. That's weird to me. I mean, doing stuff to your hair when you're stressed, changing your hair, shaving your eyebrows. Yeah, maybe that goes to the more of that pulling out disorder that I was talking about. But I didn't want to get into that today because I really wanted to get to this stuff on Dee Dee because I think it's more important. Okay. Oh, just briefly, one edit from my last video that was titled "Battered Spouse Syndrome?" question mark. The battered spouse syndrome defense. If you saw my last video, that they were proposing, that her lawyer was proposing, was against Dee Dee. It was about that domestic relationship between Dee Dee and Gypsy. They were saying that Dee Dee was the battered, that Dee Dee was the person that was being abusive to Gypsy, like in a spousal relationship. That was their first defense they were going to use. So it wasn't against Nick. No, it was that Gypsy had to murder her mother because she was in a battered spouse syndrome situation. And they didn't go with that because it's ridiculous. So that's when they then went with the Munchausen by proxy after Mike Stanfield, Gypsy's lawyer, beta tested that on social media. They actually went out on social media. That's in my last video. If you haven't seen that, if you're interested in that. So I wanted to clarify that before I go on in this video. Okay, let's get into the really interesting stuff. Okay, and this has to do with Dee Dee and Gypsy and the history of this case and a deeper understanding of the case going forward. Okay, so this is from my video, "Cop Spill Hot Tea: Becoming Gypsy." It's a popular video. It was one of the popular videos. And I hadn't watched it in a long time. And I started taking a look at it and I'm like, oh my gosh, I really want to commentate on some of this stuff. So let's go ahead and get into that right now. Bill Kahanan and Valerie Sapovito, two of Dee Dee's close friends in high school. So these are Dee Dee's close friends in high school that are commentating on Dee Dee right after she's been murdered. And so these are people that knew her. This is going to give us a good understanding of Dee Dee growing up. Okay, so let's take a listen to that. Revealed personal details that shed light on why Dee Dee turned into a con woman. Quote, "She was a beautiful, sweet person back then. It just tears my heart out to learn what became of her and how it caused her demise," Michelle wrote in a social media post right after Dee Dee's death. However, there were also warning signs of issues that Dee Dee would allegedly pass down to her own daughter. Edwin Calais, who went to high school with Dee Dee, reminisced that she had a big crush on him. To get his attention, Dee Dee would make up wild claims. Dee Dee used to be obsessed with a band. I believe it might have been Def Leppard, Edwin shared. She said she knew them and hung out with them. I do remember. She was a pathological liar. Dee Dee had this tendency to fabricate knowing important people or being close to rock stars, one close high school friend said. But she was also one of the most generous girls at school. I remember her mom always spoiling Dee Dee, gave her everything she wanted. So this is interesting because you see that Dee Dee, like, it is something in her personality in high school, seeking attention, saying she knows celebrities. Remember, this is not a fully formed adult yet. This is a high school girl, with the peer pressure and all of that. And so we have to keep that in mind. But these are the comments that coming from. But the overall thing is, although she wanted to impress people like, oh, I know that band, or I hung out with that, I know this rock star guy, or whatever. Um, she was very generous. And that the word generous is something that comes up over and over again. So we have to see that Dee Dee is not like Gypsy. Okay. Does she have faults? Does she have quirks? Yeah. Okay. Did she have issues? Big time, big time. But we all do. Different, different, right? Depending on what happens to us in life. So let's go on. Valerie also shared a pic of Dee Dee in a white gown with a blue sash and a crown on her head. This was senior year when Dee Dee was the JROTC military ball queen, she said. Valerie stated Dee Dee's mom was very involved at the time of this pic, very involved, all through high school and ROTC with us. As part of the JROTC, the girls revealed they traveled to competitions across the country. Michelle said, remember Dee Dee's mom came to every competition with us, traveled by her side? Michelle then added, remember Florida for the nationals? If it wouldn't have been for her mom, we would have been miserable. The high school. Now, this is interesting because you see the girls that went to high school with Dee Dee and that were in ROTC with her talking about Dee Dee's mom as this very involved mom with Dee Dee. Remember, Dee Dee was the baby, and her siblings have commented she was spoiled and she got a lot. That's what they said. Like, they never got a car and Dee Dee got a car. So that was the one comment, the one antidote that they offered. This other stuff, though, here you're seeing how her mother was very, very, she was the mom that was going on the trips with them. She was the mom that was taking care of all the girls in the ROTC when they went abroad. So you can see how, when you know how Dee Dee was with Gypsy, how this involvement, this very close involvement, is a pattern that happens. Friends claim Dee Dee and her mom were inseparable, and Mrs. Petrie was like their team mom, always making sure the girls had everything they needed when they traveled abroad. They also revealed what happened when Mrs. Petrie died. Dee Dee experienced depression and erratic behavior after the death of her mother, whom she was close to. Michelle wrote, I knew them both, and Dee would never take advantage of anyone prior to her loss, all of which occurred before the scamming started. There is something wrong when a person's whole character changes after a trauma, and it's not because of evil. Evil you are born with. Now, this is one girl's opinion who was close with Dee Dee, that she felt that the trauma that that Dee Dee was traumatized when her mom died. They were very, very close. Okay. And so this girl, in her opinion, it was traumatic, and that she felt like that was a trigger to change Dee Dee in some way, not to become evil, but it changed her in some way. Okay, let's go on. Dee Dee and her mom were like 2 in 1, Val said. Referring to pics of a younger Dee Dee, Michelle added, this was before she lost her mom, and I just verified that, yes, she did fall into a total mental collapse after the death of her mom. Dee lost it when Emma died, another friend related. She was never the same after that. Now we have two friends that are saying the same thing. Dee Dee lost it. She was traumatized. She was never the same after her mom died. So something happened. And at the same time as her mom dies is when all of this stuff with Gypsy's health ramps up. Now, Dee Dee knew when Gypsy was born, they said she's got some kind of genetic thing. But remember, Dee Dee, Rod leaves her, and then right when Gypsy's an infant, and then when Gypsy's about, I think, 7 or 8 is when the grandmother dies, and so this triggers something in Dee Dee. The mom is gone. Maybe this was like her protection or something. She felt scared. My mom's gone. Where's my mommy? Kind of a thing, and wasn't ready for her mom to be gone, obviously. So, who is, right? But some people adjust better and some people don't. And I think that Dee Dee had a real problem with it, coupled with whatever was going on in her own mind. Okay, let's keep going. Another friend, Sandra Plank, went on the record to set a few things straight. Dee Dee did not come from meager means, she wrote. Her father is a very successful man, as well as her brothers and sisters. I knew both her mother and father. They would have done absolutely anything in the world for Dee Dee and Gypsy Rose. But when her mom passed away, Dee Dee was at a total loss. Everything changed. Sandra's right. After Dee Dee's mom died, her father remarried, and it seems Dee Dee did not get along with the new wife. There are allegations from her dad and stepmom that Dee Dee poisoned her food with Roundup. Now this is crazy. These accusations went around. There's no one called the cops. It's just kind of like after Dee Dee's death when people were on the bandwagon that, she was this horrible monster. These kind of anecdotes came out. So, yeah, I just wanted to clarify that. Okay. None of these accusations were ever reported to law enforcement. Emma Petrie, Dee Dee's mom, died in June of 1997. And by all accounts, as Dee Dee spirals into a deep depression, she begins putting Gypsy in the wheelchair and ramps up falsehoods about her ailments. So those two events correspond, which is interesting, right? Um, that prior to the mom's death, Gypsy wasn't in the wheelchair, and so that the Gypsy's more often in the wheelchair after. Now, could it mean that Gypsy was having like muscle problems? And a lot of you guys have said this. Yes or no? Yes and no, because to me, it's like because she could always walk. Why was she like being called a paraplegic? Why was she saying she was paralyzed? That to me means that something else is going on here. Okay. All right, let's keep going. Coincidence? We think not. Dee Dee was told when Gypsy was very young that she had a chromosomal disorder that caused her to have microcephaly, a small skull, and many other health-related issues. At that time, this chromosomal disorder was still mostly a mystery. This uncertainty about her only child's health seemingly affected Dee Dee adversely. At the time of Dee Dee's demise, her nephew Bobby Petrie recalled, now this guy, since I've made this video, I have a take on this guy, okay? This is the only Petrie basically that has really been outspoken, all right? And his whole shtick is he's on the Gypsy bandwagon and Dee Dee was a monster and all that. Although he was too young to remember any of these things, but he's got this opinion, and to me, it's not an objective opinion. It's not objective. You guys know I'm not afraid to tell the whole truth about Dee Dee, okay? And so what I'm telling you about this guy is something's going on here. I think he's on the Gypsy train, and yeah, he's not reliable. Quote, Gypsy was premature and that her skull might have developed differently or was smaller than average, end quote. Gypsy's father, Rod Blanchard, also admitted that Dee Dee informed him that Gypsy had sleep apnea, problems with her digestive tract, and a chromosomal disorder. Those three things were all true. Those three things are all true. She had all of those three things. Her microdeletion basically affected her digestive tract and her eyes. That's where her symptoms lie. The majority of her symptoms, that starting with the salivary glands in the mouth, all the way down where she had that laparoscopic procedure, that was due to the heartburn and stuff. Okay, so her microdeletion, for whatever reason, it manifests more in the GI tract or the digestive tract. And then she had the sleep apnea. And how do we know that? Because her own grandfather said, "Oh, I remember the alarm going off," and he's not on so-called on the gypsy train. So you know what I mean? Um, I mean he's pretty when you hear that interview with him where he gives that anecdote, and I remember when Dee Dee was living with us, when Gypsy was little, right after Rod left, and the alarm would go off. He's recalling a real memory. Okay, it's not a he's telling a real memory. There's no doubt. It's 100% a real memory.
Right from birth, 3 months old, Dee Dee was telling me that she had sleep apnea, and she needed a breathing machine or breathing monitor machine, which, I mean, till this day, I don't know if that was real or not. It
Yeah, it was real. That was all real.
escalated from then. Problems with her eyes, hearing, her digestive system. After that, Gypsy couldn't walk anymore. She had a muscular disorder. Dee Dee told me she would need a wheelchair. And I asked her, I said, man, she's had a lot of issues. What's going on, and they had done some tests and found out she had a chromosome disorder that was causing all of her functions from developing, her
True. Another truth.
digestive system and her muscular system.
As you'll see, these health issues weren't lies told by Dee Dee. Gypsy Rose herself has confirmed she does suffer from a very rare chromosomal disorder. However, sometime after 1997, when many reported Dee Dee had a total mental collapse, Dee Dee began claiming Gypsy had muscular dystrophy and acute lymphoblastic leukemia. She used these bogus illnesses to scam and con charities in order to procure special trips and funds. And what did Gypsy have to say about her mom? When asked to describe her mom, one word came to Gypsy's mind in several interviews: overprotective.
My mom tended to be overprotective.
Okay, does she? All right, it's understandable.
About Dee Dee, what kind of mom was she?
Very protective.
More than one time, Gypsy uses the word overprotective to describe her mom. Not abusive, not neglectful. The death of her mom possibly sent Dee Dee into a spiral, which caused her to become fanatical about Gypsy's legitimate health issues. This isn't uncommon when a mother has to deal with the reality that their child is not in perfect health and suffering from a strange disorder doctors are having a very hard time of diagnosing. So that's the end of the first clip. It's the longest one. And I just want to say that I still believe all of that. I believe all of that is accurate. I especially like to get into what the friends of Dee Dee said about her. All of that is giving you a clear picture, not like someone's a saint. When people die, people have a tendency to, just remember everything great about them, as it should be when you die, right? But when you're talking about a case like this, we've got to have knowledge of the entire truth, because only with the truth will we get traction in the mainstream media. We have to stick to the truth so that when other people go and investigate it, they're going to find what these friends said, et cetera, et cetera. And so we want to go on the record and be 100% truthful. Okay. The next clip, I think you guys are gonna like too. I even forgot about some of this. Very, very interesting. Let me get to that. Hold on. 1710. Sorry, guys. Here we go. She was also known as a very generous woman. Neighbors spoke very highly of her movie nights. Dee Dee would invite all the neighborhood kids and parents to watch movies projected on the side of her house. She would serve baked goods and sometimes her famous gumbo. Dee Dee was not the perfect parent by any stretch of the imagination. Her behavior points to real mental health issues. Dee Dee's entire adult life was solely dedicated to her daughter. Everything she did, everything she risked, she did so to provide what she saw as this fairy tale lifestyle. Dee Dee was headed to an early grave. There's the last known photo of Dee Dee, by the way, just so you guys know what she looked like on the eve of her murder. This wasn't a well individual. This was not an individual who was getting money, taking money, and spending it on themselves. It's sad because you saw what she looked like as a young woman and as a teenager. She's beautiful, and so she obviously was not focused on herself, on her own appearance. So who was she focused on? Hyper focused on, obsessively focused on. Yeah, Gypsy Rose. Documented she suffered from type 2 diabetes, gout, and was hospitalized during one of their lavish Disney trips for kidney stones. She ignored her own well being and hyper focused on Gypsy. Strangely, Dee Dee's biggest parenting misstep that led to her demise was she overindulged Gypsy. Dee Dee's risky behaviors benefited one person, Gypsy, and Gypsy always got what she wanted. And when she wanted Dee Dee dead, she made sure that nothing stood in her way. In 2011, when Gypsy was 20 years old, she allegedly posted nasty comments about her father, Rod, blaming him for her so called illnesses and being a deadbeat dad on social media. That part is kind of overlooked because of the next part, which is the sexualized photos that she also sent to Rod and Christy and Mia and the son Dylan, I guess. No, well, I don't guess. It's kind of documented that she did that. So, um, yeah, but this part is sometime overlooked that she was also blasting her dad as a deadbeat dad on social media. She also sent inappropriate pics from one of her secret sexualized Facebook accounts that wound up directed at Rod, his wife Christy, and their kids Mia and Dylan. When Christy confronted Dee Dee about these disturbing posts and inappropriate pics, Dee Dee blatantly lied for Gypsy and blamed the post and pics on their neighbor Aaliyah Woodmansey, who had kindly befriended Gypsy. Here is Dee Dee once again overindulging Gypsy, being toxically overprotective of her daughter. Dee Dee wrote to Christy, "When I saw that filth, I deleted that disgusting Facebook and took Chip's computer away. I fussed for 2 straight days. My doctor had to increase my heart meds. I did not read everything, but what I did made me sick. Please explain to little Mia that whatever was written was not her sister, but a mean person named Aaliyah." Dee Dee continued. "Jip told me Aaliyah helped her like her nurse helps her. She has trouble reading and writing and can't see well, so she needs help. I called that Slatten's mom and her to come over, and Aaliyah admitted everything." Dee Dee continues with the bald-faced lie. "I told her we are going to call our family and her true friends and talk to them and explain. And if anyone knows Jip, they know that that is not how she is." Trying to explain Gypsy's hypersexualized content, Dee Dee wrote, "As far as a boyfriend, Chip has never had one and doesn't want one and doesn't think that way. She still wants to be a nun when she grows up, and we are always together. The only men here are the medical equipment delivery, pharmacy delivery, and diaper delivery." You guys may wonder about the diaper delivery. Odd, right? These are the odd little tidbits, that make you kind of go, wow, that's weird. So apparently the diaper delivery, um, Gypsy used when she had her menstrual cycle. Yeah, just okay, let's just go on. And I have to sign for them. This would become a major theme in Gypsy's life. It's never her fault, and it stems from her upbringing. Dee Dee lying so profusely and slandering their teenage neighbor Aaliyah Woodmansey taught Gypsy this is how we get out of things. We lie, we blame others, we never take responsibility. People are expendable. There's parental neglect, and the opposite of parental neglect is parental overindulgence. Both are just as damaging, as we see with Gypsy Rose. During her interrogation, Gypsy had already worked out her narrative to blame everything on Nick Godejohn and utterly minimize her role in the crime.
Let's not do that then. I don't want to do that to
I
you.
understand it never hurt my mom, but I'm not.
But why did Nick hurt her? Now's the time to be truthful, sweetheart. No more lies.
The only reason I can be true is because he wanted me to himself.
Okay.
Because my mom kept mentioning it the way this being together.
Sure she did. She didn't like Nick.
Mhm.
She didn't want her little baby girl to grow up. She wanted to keep her little bit really young, didn't she?
She said that there was something dangerous about him. She had a way of reading people.
Okay.
And she said that he seemed like the head in the closet type of person, the kind that murders and kills, and
Your
like
mom's right.
Jeffrey Dahmer kind of person.
You think your mom's
Jeffrey Dahmer kind of person?
right? You know your mom's right.
In a letter from July of 2000, this is very interesting. Take notice to this. Take notice of this letter. 15. This would be just a few weeks after the heinous crime. Gypsy wrote to Dee Dee's sister and brother. This is a letter she wrote from the Waukesha County Jail a few days or possibly a couple weeks, not just right after the murder. She wrote to Dee Dee's sister and brother. I don't even know where to begin to explain it. I'll just start with I'm sorry. I feel you both deserve an explanation. Please know I am not the evil, twisted monster the media is trying and succeeding in making me seem. Gypsy added, yes, I'm in trouble for a part in this, but everyone forgets I did not kill her. My ex did. My part was small in all of this, but I seem to be taking a lot of the heat for this. This is a reoccurring theme that is stuck in her mind. It is her reality. My part was small in all this. I don't identify as a murderer, right? This started as early as right after it, and she never changed. All through her, think about this. She goes to prison to become rehabilitated, to take responsibility for her crime. And yet, that is the main thing you're supposed to do in prison is to take responsibility. They're not supposed to let you out on parole unless they are totally 100% sure you have taken full responsibility for your crime. And yet we know her tune never changed about her role in this murder. Her prison stint did nothing to rehabilitate her one iota. In fact, I believe that it made her worse, that she learned even worse behaviors in prison and got out even more of a criminal than when she went in. The media has even shown pics of me in a costume from last Halloween, a comic book girl from the Batman movies, but they showed it to make me look crazy, troubled, and evil, and I'm not. I know you must feel confused and may be upset. I understand that. I thought me and my mom were the perfect, happy little family, happy as can be. But behind closed doors, things were far from okay, and it was only getting worse. I tried running away twice, but failed. I can't say it was always bad, but it wasn't what people think. I'm sorry for not telling you I can walk, but she said not to, and I always obeyed. I always just obeyed, and that was that. And there were times I didn't even know myself. My lawyer told me my real age. That's a lie. Proven 100% lie. She knew how old she was. I just turned 24 and I never was taking chemo. My mom would shave my head. I'm perfectly healthy. That's a lie. That's a lie. She wasn't perfectly healthy. She had this microdeletion chromosomal disorder. Most people would think I hated her, but that's not true. I loved her. What I hated was my invisible cage full of lies and sadness. In another letter from prison, Gypsy wrote, I was on many medications I was forced to take and obviously had a bad reaction. As a result, it led to disaster, and my psycho ex didn't help. I don't even remember half of what happened that night. Gypsy continued, once they showed me evidence at the preliminary hearing, I was shocked and mortified at what Nick did. I'm still the sweet girl who loves Disney princesses and kitties. I'm just lost right now with I can't. A 24-year-old woman. I'm still the sweet girl who loves Disney princesses and kitties. Yeah. Manipulator. No map to guide me. This narrative that Gypsy really wasn't a murderer and she had no idea about her age would be recycled by the convicted felon when she got out of prison. So there's that. There's that. Like, and then it goes on to show you the different clips of her saying, I don't identify as a murderer. Well, this one right here with Ryan.
It does hurt my feelings a little bit whenever people do call me a danger, because I want to make clear I was a part of the crime, but I didn't commit the act. And I think
that's almost verbatim what was in that letter. I was a part of it, a small part of it. You see how she says the same thing over and over. It's something that she she has not grown. She is still saying this. She memorizes these talking points. And it started, that was the same thing she said just days after the murder, not taking any accountability, not taking any responsibility. She's saying it here right when she gets out 8 years later. And people wonder why we're up in arms about Gypsy Rose Blanchard being out of prison. And how did this happen? Okay. Sorry. Like I said, sorry when I start yelling and, I don't mean to. It's just so maddening, all of this. All right. One more clip. Let's go to 20, 32, 30, 32. Hold on. Here we go. Gypsy's mind is overprotective. Now, only days after the demise of Dee Dee, let's take inventory on how Gypsy describes her life with her mother. While waiting for hours and believing she was not under arrest, Gypsy spoke freely to one deputy sheriff who was tasked with babysitting her. As we have said, detectives placed him there, a younger, attractive officer, in hopes she would open up. So there was a reason the door's open and this younger, attractive deputy is placed there while they're waiting. This is a tactic. This is a ploy to get her to do exactly what she does here, is to start talking.
And then at Disney World, I got to go to Magic Kingdom, and I went.
Now remember, she murdered her mom just days before this. And at this point, she's sitting in a sheriff's station. And listen to her demeanor, listen to the topic. This is just, I mean, if it was me, I couldn't even speak.
Went and danced the waltz with Prince Charming and Cinderella.
Really?
That was really fun. My mom and I got the Disney dining plan, which is unlimited food.
Okay.
A human being cannot eat this much food.
Too much food?
And we went eat at.
Remember, Melissa Moore said she got her first taste of real food when she got to prison. It's all just a grift with these people. I'm telling you.
Chef Mickey's, I had way too much sugar. Whenever you go anywhere in Disney, they try to pump you with sugar. Mm-hmm. By the end of the night, it was closing time. I was so filled with sugar that I was dancing up and down Main Street at Magic Kingdom. And then it's funny because the park was all closed. The castle was there. And I go to the castle and I touch the railing and I'm like, there's nobody else here.
So they got you all hopped up on sugar at 11 o'clock?
Oh, yeah.
That's nice of them.
I've only been to the ocean once.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And that was last year. My mom and I went to Cape Cod.
Vacations you guys take? Florida for a month?
How many vacations did you guys take? He asked. Yeah, sounds horrible. Sounds like she was just a terrible person. Sounds like your childhood was just horrible.
God.
And we went whale watching.
How's that?
Oh, we saw 9 humpback whales.
9 of them?
Mm-hmm.
All together?
All together.
That'd be pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
They come real close to the boat, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Very close. One even lifted its flipper and it was like,
Really? Cape Cod.
These are actual memories she's having. She's not only is she boasting, not only is this like, narcissistic type behavior with this boasting and stuff, but it's antisocial also. Not appropriate for the forum she's in. She's at least going to be questioned about her mother's murder. She plotted it. She knows she plotted it. It happened a few days ago. And just she has no feeling about it. Do you get it? There's no feeling about it. It's like, hey, it's all good. Who cares? But then she has to be, boasting about these trips and, her wonderful life.
A lot of people, my mom and I bought the exclusive package.
It's all this VIP shit, and back in the beginning of this video, we talk about how Dee Dee, as a girl in high school, wanted to say, hey, I hung out with this celebrity. I know this rock star. It's kind of in that same vein. But what I didn't get from Dee Dee's friends was that she was boasting about it at this level. I think Dee Dee probably had low self-esteem and wanted people to feel that she was important, and she made up these stories to get people's attention. And I think it's different with Gypsy, that we're talking about a different animal here altogether. Okay. Where Dee Dee wasn't the monster, and had issues with low self-esteem. We know she had weight issues throughout her life. that in Gypsy, it's not the same thing. They are not the same person, even though when you look at this, you could say, well, this is kind of the same thing as Dee Dee. It's not. It's not.
And that gives you one special night that they shut down the parks to where you and only the people that bought that package are let in.
I wanted to add this. When it comes to Dee Dee, people said that she would be generous. Like if she could get them the tickets and stuff, she would try to like gift that too. So where she would try to like, usually she didn't, but there were times where there was little things she got like movie tickets and stuff like that. And she was always like giving that stuff away. Here, you guys can have this. One friend wrote about that also, that Dee Dee was very generous, if she got special stuff, that even if it was through the scamming, that she spread that wealth around, so to speak. Now, Gypsy, this is pure narcissism, antisocial kind of personality disorder behavior here. She's not telling this guy because she wants to spread the wealth. She's like saying, look at me. I'm an important person. Everything's about me. Yeah, it's really narcissistic.
Closed off to everyone else.
So it's like the VIP experience.
And they have this special event where they bring food out and you can go walk around and eat free ice cream, and it's just the whole thing to yourself.
Really? How many people do they give that to? Is it noticeably
I think it's
crowded?
100 packages.
Gypsy. So they only gave 100 packages out, and this is what they got. They were like the exclusive VIP, like I keep saying over and over again. She's very much into this lifestyle, and so it's what she expects. She feels entitled to it. She also demonstrated how well she can lie on the fly, and seemingly for no reason, which is a sign of pathological lying. Okay, where are we at? 35:26. Okay. Yeah. One more clip here. We're going to get a little bit into Christy here. Very interesting stuff also, because now we have to take into consideration who is her mentor, who is, influencing her when she gets out of prison. Let's go to that at 4311. If I can get as close as I can. 4311. There we go. Here we go. Over and over, her birth certificate was washed away during Hurricane Katrina. Katrina happened. We're going to talk about her age, this part really quick, and then we're going to get into Christy. In 2005, when Gypsy was 14 years old.
My birth certificate was washed away in Katrina, and unfortunately, they messed up all the time when they messed up the paperwork, and it's.
So if her birth certificate washed away when she was 14, she knew she was 14. And there is evidence that Dee Dee didn't start changing her age until later on. It wasn't done when she was small.
In 1991, but it's actually 95.
Dee Dee was well aware that the bulk of their scamming came from charities, children charities, and that's how they got their lavish trips and the donations. As Gypsy neared 18 years old, accessing kids' charities would be Dee Dee's incentive to change her age. Not change her age as a young child. That makes no sense. So Gypsy became 4 years younger sometime after they got to Missouri. After they got to Missouri, Gypsy was already 14 years old. And obviously, Gypsy would have known her real age. Hence, the lie about the birth certificate washed away during Katrina was born. Why does Gypsy keep up this alleged untruth about not knowing her age? Possibly, she may believe it backs up her narrative of being totally in the dark about the scams and the cons, that she was always this clueless victim of her evil mom. And so that's why she continued with the lie, even after she's arrested. I didn't know my age until my lawyer told me. It's because if she knew her age, then it's like, well, then you knew a lot more. You knew what was going on then. You knew she was changing your age. Then you had to know about all this. And then remember in my last video, you have all these people who were around them and said that, Gypsy was really good. She fooled a lot of people, even the deputy wrote that, she was obviously she was mentally handicapped, he wrote. And this is when she was 18 years old. So these are people that were in contact with them in the later years, not in her childhood years, but the later years after 14, after they got to Missouri. And so Gypsy is scared that people are going to connect her with the scamming and the grifting part. And that if that happens, she's no longer a victim. She can't claim victim status then. See? And it may also be just another example of pathological lying. Another curious issue revolves around Gypsy's alleged medical issues. You'd think if she was heinously medically abused, a lawyer who wanted a big payday would be chomping at the bit to take her case, right? Medical malpractice suits can range in the multi-millions in compensation. However, Gypsy had to admit no attorney would take her case.
My dad and stepmom tried to look for an attorney that can take my case for a malpractice lawsuit, and I don't think anyone wants to touch it. Like, I've not been able to find one.
Really?
Yeah, no, that's really surprising, actually.
Why is that? Even Nick Vile was surprised Gypsy couldn't find one attorney to sue the doctors. Could it be those attorneys had experts look at the medical records and they deduced most, if not all, of Gypsy's medical treatments were based on sound lab reports and diagnoses? There was medical fraud on Dee Dee's and Gypsy's part, Gypsy claiming she couldn't walk or she couldn't hear, but when it came to actual procedures and surgeries, it appears as if no attorney was willing to take the case. And by the way, I looked it up for Missouri. The statute of limitations is 2 years, but there's an exception. And one of the exceptions is if it happened when you were a child. So someone could take the case. No one will take the case. And God knows that lawyers love cases like this if it was true malpractice. You're getting millions and millions in dollars if you win the case. And they couldn't find anyone to take the case. And Gypsy admits that they tried, and I bet they tried. But before an attorney is going to take a case like that, he's going to have his experts look at it, and they're probably like, you know what? There's no case here. Okay. Now we're going to get into the Christy part. As we previously stated in our other videos, according to records we viewed, most of all of Gypsy's procedures and surgeries were based on real symptoms from her chromosomal disorder. When Gypsy was located by police at Nick Godejohn's mom's home in Wisconsin, Christy Blanchard, her stepmother, posted on social media, quote, "Thank you all for the prayers. This is such tragic news. Justice will be served. Some of you know that Rod's daughter, Gypsy, was kidnapped and her mother brutally murdered. Gypsy was found and is doing as well as she could right now. Please pray that justice is served and Gypsy will be all right. We will be going to see her soon." End quote. Stevie Stovall, who knew Rod and Christy, responded to her post writing, quote, "Practically no one knew this was her stepdaughter. At least no one I knew did, including myself. And the minute this went down, Christy was stepmom of the year. But yet, when I was still her friend on Facebook, I would go like everyone else and read her post. And every time Gypsy was referred to as Rob's daughter, she overlooked it." And Christy got real heated about it with this woman in this Facebook group that was dedicated to the case. And this was right after the crime also. And this woman was calling her out, calling BS on, you had nothing to do with Gypsy. What are you talking about? Yeah. Very interesting. Quote, Christy became obsessed with Facebook group that were covering the Gypsy case. She bombarded them with remarks like this one after she was confronted of not really being a part of Gypsy's life. Quote, "You think everyone knows Rod had a daughter before we got married? Our longtime friends know. So what, we have to tell our life story to everyone? Do you tell everyone your life story that comes into your life? I think not." End quote. Was Dee Dee really keeping Gypsy away from her father Rod and his wife Christy? On August 27, 2012, Dee Dee contacted Christy when she heard a hurricane was headed to Louisiana. Quote, "The hurricane is heading towards you all," Dee Dee messaged Christy. "Please come here. We have plenty of room and would love for you all to come and be safe. We love you all, Dee and Gyp." Christy. So obviously, if Dee Dee did not want them anywhere near Gypsy, why would she offer that? Right? Now, I'm not saying that Dee Dee didn't have a lot of animosity towards Rod. She did. She did. And probably a lot of it was for good reason. You know what I mean? Did she embellish stuff about Rod? I'm sure she did too. When you get scorned by someone, that's part of it. But that one post inviting them with the hurricane, come here, we have plenty of room, come here. Wow. Right. And of course, Christy, then you can see she says, "No, we're fine. I don't need that." Christy's glamour shots here real quick. Let's take a look at that. He answered, Thanks. I think we will be fine. We have a generator that works through the whole house. Just went and stocked up on things. We will keep you posted. Love ya. From our research, we can say that Christy and Rod were not actively kept away from Gypsy. It was their choice. They were just so busy, it seems. Christy became a hot topic in many Facebook groups. One acquaintance from Louisiana responded, quote, "Ugh, Christy thrusting herself into the limelight again. Remember when this first broke and Christy had a professional photographer do a photo shoot and she changed her profile pic? Look at me, look at me. That is all this woman wants, attention." And so people go on then to say, look, obviously, Christy, especially Christy, is very wrapped up into the celebrity of this, the potential cha-ching money of this. There's even a post like that where they talk about, Christy wanting to, cash in. This is an interesting pic. So this is Gypsy in the wheelchair sitting crisscross applesauce. This is one of the last known photos also. This is like, I think, a month before the murder. That's what she looked like. And they had stopped taking the electric wheelchair out, and Gypsy was actually sitting like that, which would indicate probably not paralyzed. And obviously Dee Dee was allowing it. So I think the scamming was done. I think they were done with that. I think Dee Dee was really ill. Gypsy was, over 18 at this point. And so I just thought that was an interesting pick here too. I think that's all for this video for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I do have something exciting coming up that I don't want to talk about yet, but it's going to be exciting, kind of like what happened before, with some extra media attention. And thank you to everyone who emailed me that is going to get involved more in the letter writing campaign to reach out to media. We have some exciting things that are going on. Like I said, I was ill for 2 days, so I'm kind of behind my schedule, but I've gotten back to everyone that wants to be involved. And now we're going to move forward. If you still want to be involved in that, it's not too late. You can email me and just say, hey, I'd like to be a little bit more involved in the campaign to get the untold truth about Gypsy Rose Blanchard out to the mainstream media. Okay? All right, guys, that's going to do it for Becca Scoops. Let me take this off the screen here. That's going to do it for Becca Scoops for today. If you guys enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to my channel. If you are into the case and are wanting justice for Dee Dee Blanchard, consider becoming a member of my channel. I really, really appreciate all the memberships, all of the help. You guys are wonderful. The emails I've gotten, the love I've gotten, your passion spurs me on, keeps me going. And yeah, let's do this thing. I think we're really making headwinds now. It's getting exciting. All right, guys. Thank you so much. And Becca Scoops out.